Good afternoon, and welcome to the Measure What Matters New Hampshire webinar, Green Champions, Embedding Action for Your Sustainability Initiatives. I'm Molly Redfield, and I'm the Communication and Event Manager for New Hampshire Businesses for Social Responsibility, or NHBSR. NHBSR is a statewide membership organization working to promote sustainable business practices in and around New Hampshire. We do this through events and programs that are designed to bring together a network of businesses, nonprofits, and individuals all committed to doing well by doing good. We inspire and support organizations in their sustainability efforts by helping to provide the tools and resources they need to advance their own sustainability goals. Measure What Matters New Hampshire is one of our newest programs. This program is a multi-pronged program that helps companies assess their impact, make improvements, connect with resources and experts, and celebrate successes. This webinar is a part of the Measure What Matters New Hampshire program and will help your company make strides in understanding how supporting sustainability leaders can help drive change throughout your company. But before we start, I would like to go over a couple of logistics. First of all, this webinar is 30 minutes long. The audience will be muted to decrease background noise, but attendees can ask questions by typing them into the Q&A section or through chat. Both of these functions are available on your control panel, which pops up when you move your mouse to the bottom of your screen. Lastly, the webinar will be recorded, and a link to the recording will go out in an email to you tomorrow. And with that, I would like to introduce you to today's webinar presenter. John Rooney is an Environmental Stewardship Program Manager of Hypertherm, where he leads waste and energy reduction initiatives and trainings. Thank you, John, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Molly. So as Molly mentioned, I'm John Rooney, Environmental Stewardship Program Manager at Hypertherm. And today we're going to talk a little bit about green champions and embedding action for your sustainability initiatives. So first and foremost, it is important to have goals. You need to understand what you're trying to accomplish as an organization. Setting and communicating these goals help create a call to action, a direction for the organization to move towards. How do you know when you've met your goals? How do you create a roadmap? By creating clarity of definitions of success for the organization, you can start to identify milestones and build out standard work to stay on track, measure progress, and achieve goals. After defining the what, the why, and the how, a means of agency must be created to steward and drive progress. It is nearly impossible to implement a successful environmental program alone, and you will need plenty of volunteers and support for the organization. To build a body of volunteers, spread the word, communicate your goals, gain interest, and create pull, providing standardized training and educational resources for all. Use this agency to drive results, engagement, values, and progress throughout the organization. At Hypertherm, we have created a dashboard of environmental goals that focus on the reduction of our overall carbon footprint. These goals are set to mature at the end of 2020, at which time we'll use these as a launching platform for our next set of 2030 goals. All levels of the organization, from business operations to logistics to products, have defined targets for environmental impact, as well as methods and processes in place to facilitate progress. It is always important to track, measure, and report out on any progress to the organization at scheduled reoccurring intervals. These targets are how Hypertherm sets our mission, our core values, and our critical success factors into motion. Every single associate has a part to play in achieving success. What is a champion? A champion is a person who fights for a cause, has a willingness to learn, and who is passionate. They are a protector, a supporter, an advocate, a defender, a peer, and a steward. At Hypertherm, a champion is someone who supports and drives corporate initiatives at the team level. They are subject matter experts, or SMEs, within their respective work functions and areas. Green Champs apply each level of certification in succession at their respective areas in effort to measure, control, and continuously improve their team's contribution to Hypertherm's carbon footprint. In addition to supporting formalized programs, the CHAMP model can be used to create additional support, resources, and capacity in other areas such as task delegation, best practice sharing, mentorship opportunities, training support, and adjunct faculty, standardization through assessments and audits, product management, project management, data collection, and much more. We even have champs for other initiatives such as environmental health and safety, community continuous improvement activities, community service time, and more. Creating and communicating value. When it comes to understanding the value created by the champ model, there are a few notables to pay attention to. First and foremost, many hands make light work. Champions can help you accomplish more at a faster rate. Second, the work that you and your champs do ensures that we can meet the needs of today without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Lastly, effectively communicating within an organization is challenging to say the least, and creating a robust communication plan is key. Champions can help quickly and effectively share your messages with the organization while creating a direct avenue for organizational feedback. Well-trained champs can help to improve your team's flexibility, capacity, and project management and pilot support, as well as help with process and change management. The champion model intrinsically creates a need for access to learning and development opportunities within areas such as project planning and management, lean skills, presentation skills, and more. In addition, these opportunities lead to the proliferation of best practices, project savings, and networking opportunities. The champion model creates an avenue for two-way communication, leading to a more direct and candid feedback from the organization, as well as a clear and supportive initiative, which helps to improve and deepen engagement within the organization. Through material and energy management and reduction, intangible cost savings will be realized as well. How we do it. Regardless of organizational size, the implementation of a robust environmental program is no easy task. Virtually all business systems and functions are impacted. By walking through the following steps, you'll find it much easier to stay on target. First, you want to design goals and initiatives. Then, create and deploy standardized tools, templates, and practices. Train your volunteers. Deploy them, send them out into the organization. Debrief them, gather communication, information, and share best practices. Celebrate their efforts. Support their efforts. And review. Get feedback, change, and revise as needed. When designing goals and initiatives, make sure to perform research. What are other industry leaders focusing on? Where is the best scientific information coming from? Make sure to do your due diligence and create goals that are rooted in fact and not feelings. Set a target to aim for and execute on. Does it align with your organization's mission or vision statement? Define the tasks, steps, and plans to bridge the gap between the current state and the goal. Create and deploy standard tools, practices, and expectations. Borrow from lean practices and tools. In fact, lean is green. Tools such as Pareto's, input process output charts, green business indicators, and stakeholder analysis plans prove to be invaluable. Standardize these and provide user information and instruction. Use standard work documentation to provide champs with step-by-step instructions for given situations. This makes things easier for the champs and increases the probability of good data and replicable results. Create clear, simple expectations for the champs to follow, such as term commitments, attendance of required trainings and meetings, engaging with team leaderships and setting expectations and actions, and when to reach out for help and clarity. Additionally, the creation of an intranet site can be helpful to catalog, organize, and launch work from. Next, you'll want to train your cohort of volunteers. You should audit existing training sessions and borrow best practices that already exist within the organization. Pilot a training program. Get feedback and make changes as necessary. Walk champs through true-to-life situations and examples, showing them how to effectively use the tools that you have put into place. Explain your goals and the embedded value they provide the organization to your champs. And when able, pair seasoned champions with new arrivals to help facilitate knowledge transfer and aid with consistency throughout the workplace. After training, you'll deploy them into the organization to steward change, collect data, and report back. You can schedule check-in intervals with individualized champs as you deem to be necessary, and put into practice the initiatives, tools, and people that you have developed. Debrief, group and gather results from your champs. Solicit feedback in the form of stories. Dig for specific information on hurdles and how they were overcame. Use forums and newsletters to share and communicate results with the organization. Celebrate. Highlight the progress your champs make towards their goals. Speak to impressive efforts and changes made. Provide accolades such as trophies for innovative ideas or badges as milestones. Do interviews and newsletter articles. Give out titles, mentorship roles, and the like. Share the successes with leadership. Gather in person for quick events. Lastly, support. Champion programs run off a volunteer platform. In order to maintain engagement and involvement, it is important to remain flexible and to be responsive to a champ's needs and requests. Holding office hours or listening sessions is a great way to get to know champions and provide them with more informal settings to ask questions or seek counsel. Use your presence. Be at team meetings in person. Use these as a forum to share pertinent information directly with your associate base. Meet with champs and their leaders to create clarity, set expectations, and share best practices. And lastly, leverage organizational awareness to identify key decision makers, mentors, change agents, and other types. Introduce and pair these people with champs to help maximize impacts and efforts while facilitating networking and developmental opportunities. Hurdles. Over the course of the journey, both you and your champs will run into various issues and hurdles. I will review a few of the common hurdles at a high level. First, different leadership styles. You'll find that each leader and manager in your organization has their own unique style and methodology. This can create issues with equity and the value placed on a champ's work, which can directly affect that champ's ability to be successful within their role. Getting volunteers. Just like a stream, the volume of volunteers will ebb and flow. Maintaining a steady supply of engaged champions requires a lot of attention and support. Varying skill levels. Task, project, and management abilities vary heavily from individual to individual. Some will need more time and support and training than others, while some are more successful just working independently. Change management. Managing change is a difficult process with many variables. It needs constant attention to be successful. Some champs are more in tune with this than others. Clarity of embedded or sunk costs and savings. It is important to understand how much money the organization might be spending on materials just to dispose of them later on. It's important to understand if your rebates from recyclables are offset by rental and trucking fees, and also important to where you actually generate real savings. Creating clarity for all of these different inputs is incredibly important. It makes people trust within the program. Programs like this often aren't compulsory, meaning they're not really mandated by the organization. And they're reliant on volunteer participation, support, and involvement. As such, the program can be thought of as ancillary or not my job to participate. There can be varying belief and buy-in with green initiatives. Some associates might feel that it is not the organization's responsibility to reduce their environmental impact or take additional measures to support the environment at large. And then lastly, associates take their cues from leadership. If the leader does not appear to be bought in or supportive of an initiative or project, an associate base is likely to follow in suit. Results. As mentioned many times, it's important to be clear about your goals, values, and expectations of the organization. Make sure that you are aligned with the organization's missions and values. Being lean and green creates gains in efficiency. The less waste you must handle or work with, the more capacity that you have freed up for value-added tasks. Successes, lessons learned, engagement, and savings will start to proliferate throughout the organization through the champion framework. Learning and associate development and knowledge becomes embedded at the individual, the team, the functional, and the organizational levels. This can help to create a pipeline for developing talent and skills for future attrition and assets. And then lastly, improved measurable engagement will become apparent throughout the entire organization. To wrap things up, I'd like to share this simple African proverb. If you want to go fast, you can go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. The champion model works best when taking the long-term view. Easy successes can't be won overnight, and it takes a group to get it all done. That's all I have for now. I'd like to open it up to any questions or comments.
Thank you, John, for sharing your experience and expertise with us here today. So, I would like to encourage folks to submit any questions that they may have using the Q&A on the webinar. And as I said previously, if you scroll down with your mouse on your screen, your control panel will pop up and you can see the Q&A icon down there and enter in your question there. All right, so the first question we have is, how do you get leadership support for champions at your company?
Yeah, this is a great one. It actually can vary depending individual to individual. Oftentimes, it's really about having a one-on-one conversation with that leader and showing them the value through examples of what the champion model can do to create gains in efficiency for them. Mostly, if you can speak of efficiency gains and those types of things, that really gets the leader's attention, and then you can use other valuable items to kind of follow up with that as you go along. Um, Really, it's just kind of about constant engagement and making sure that you're communicating with associates and the associate base, and that you're not just piling work onto folks. It's supposed to be about a partnership and kind of making sure that they know that you're working together to achieve a common goal.
Great. So another question that we have is, how did Hypertherm settle on what the most useful number of champions uh, ended up being on your team?
Yeah, so this one is kind of came along through necessity. We have teams of varying sizes and responsibilities. So there might be a team that's a single shift with 4 or 5 people on board, or you might have a team that's 2 or 3 shifts that includes 60 to 70 folks. Um, in reality, we just kind of asked for at least, starting off at least one champ per team to get our feet in the door and start to understand all these different impacts. But as that's grown, to really make sure that we're creating equity, sharing work and development opportunities, we don't have a limit. So we say ideally we'd like at least one champ per shift. And if the team is, 10 or more people, generally speaking, having an additional champion or a co-champ to help carry that workload is important. Um, right now, we have about 60 or so business teams at Hypertherm, and we kind of run anywhere between 70 and 90 champions in varying capacities.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
That's fantastic. Great. And then also you had mentioned having terms for your champions. And I'm wondering how you've structured that. Is it so that you have some folks that are able to mentor other champions coming on? And are champions able to renew their terms? Do they continue sort of tied into the program even after they've, I guess, graduated from being champions and finished their terms?
Yeah, so there's a few things there. The 1 year term kind of came around as a minimum just so that we can provide training and experience to that champ and then deploy them into the field and they can get some work done within that time frame. Um, Also just helps kind of eliminate stagnant work, if you will. If there's a lot of champ turnover, it's very difficult to maintain momentum towards a goal or initiative. So you'll find that those, if we do have teams with lots of turnover, they're not making as much progress. That being said, we have folks who decide that they don't want to be the official champ for their team anymore for a variety of reasons. Either they want to give other associates a chance, or their workload might not really balance out right now, and so they generally stay on the mailing list and kind of help as a co-champion, if you will, or help to inform teams and provide us with information. Um, yeah, and we have some champs who have been working as a champ within their team or different teams for around 5 years. They just love it. They're really engaged and informed and educated. And those are the types of folks that we try to push out as mentors to the newer champions, as well as use as a sounding board for when we're trying to come up with some new ideas and those types of things.
All right, fantastic. So that concludes our question and answer portion of the webinar. Now, I would like to invite you to join us for our upcoming webinars as part of the Measure What Matters New Hampshire series. We have Alyssa Wright from Wright Consulting Group giving a webinar, Creating a Corporate Giving Platform for Impact, on Tuesday, November 20th. And we have Crystal Farley joining us from CFAR Beyond the Box, giving a webinar on Success Without the Stress on Thursday, December 12th. I also hope that you will join us at the Sustainability Winter Social, which is coming up on December 10th at Barry Dunn in Manchester, New Hampshire. Sustainability is a new meetup group that realizes that the best sustainability conversations happen when people connect in a casual setting. And our host, Barry Dunn, is a local leading sustainable business. You can learn about both Sustainability Brews and Barry Dunn when you join us on December 10th in Manchester. Registration for this networking event is live at nhbsr.org/socials. Now, if you have any questions about today's presentation, I encourage you to reach out to John. His email address will be going out in the follow-up email to this webinar that will also include a link to the recording and slides. Again, thank you, John, for joining us here today and making yourself available as a great resource. And thank you to all of you for joining us on this webinar. I hope you all learned a lot and will apply what you've learned today to your business's own sustainability efforts. Take care and have a great one.